What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops crew. And today, as of when you see this, we're here to discuss some unfortunate, sad news that's impacted the Geelong Football Club over the course of the last couple of days. And look, I spoke in my last video about wanting to kind of have a real positive air and lots of positivity this year. And there are going to be lots of wonderfully positive things to discuss this year. But for Geelong, it's been a sad couple of days with two fairly significant passings impacting the Geelong Football Club to various different degrees. And I want to talk about both individuals and their importance to the Geelong Football Club in this video today. Celebrate their lives, celebrate their achievements, and of course, pass my best wishes on to all family, all loved ones, all friends, everyone within the broader Geelong community who's been touched by these individuals and is going to be mourning their loss. So today we're talking about two people. The first, I think most people would be quite familiar with Mickey Turner. Because Mick Turner, as well as being a wonderful footballer in his own right, it's fairly well documented. The media's always done a very good job of this. The Mickey Turner football factory and all those sorts of things when it comes to kind of under 18s competitions. There's been a lot said about there, but I want to take some time and talk about Mickey Turner's footballing achievements. Sadly, he's passed due to a 2-year-long battle with pancreatic cancer. So we wish Mick's family all the best. Best wishes from the Hoops crew, and I think best wishes on behalf of all football fans, not even just Geelong fans, but on behalf of all football fans in this really difficult time. But Mick has done some extraordinary things for the Geelong Football Club, for football more broadly. He played 245 games, kicked 285 goals between 1974 and 1988. So for me personally, I just kind of missed him. I was born in 89 and certainly wasn't, kind of really cognizant and understanding of what was going on in the game until probably I've discussed this in other videos. I don't really remember much until about 95. The grand final, sadly, is my first footballing memory. But I've seen bits and pieces of Mickey Turner playing football over the years because, I've kind of done my due diligence and tried to go through the archives and learn about players from yesteryear. But of course, his father played for the club as well, Leo Turner, dual premiership player in 51-52 and also played 130 games for the Cats. All-Australian in 1979. Leading goal kicker with 40 goals in 1982. He kicked goal of the year in 1980 as well against the Tigers. Always good doing some damage against the Tigers and making a name for himself against the Tigers. But I mentioned before the footy factory, and of course we're scrolling through, and this is directly from the Geelong side. I'm not hiding the fact that this is coming straight from the Cats website. Served as captain coach for Werribee in the VFA before being appointed the regional manager of the Geelong Falcons in 95. He spent 25 years at the Geelong Falcons as their talent manager, helping 134 men and women fulfill their dream of making to the AFL or the AFLW. That is an incredible figure. 134 players have come through Mick Turner and made their dream of being an AFL or AFLW player a reality. That's a phenomenal effort. Of that, 8 captained their club and 21 have gone on to become premiership players. 8 captains. It says a lot about the leadership qualities that, firstly, those individuals, of course, must have, but that Mick was able to foster and nurture within his system. Obviously, fairly recently, as just 2023, he was on, and this would have been, I guess, we said a 2-year-long battle. Not that long ago that he kind of, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, that when he recorded this, he was fighting that battle. Mick's contribution to the Geelong Football Club and broader AFL competition saw him recently awarded AFL Life membership following a special resolution from the AFL Commission. Mick will be remembered as a skillful player, passionate Geelong person, and mentor to many. And then, as we do as well, the club Geelong sends its heartfelt condolences to Mick's wife Karen, children Levi and Shay, their partners Brooke and Grace, his grandchildren Frankie, Ziggy, Raph, and Arlo, and extended family and friends. Rest in peace, Mick. The other individual that we want to discuss today is Sirel Bill McMaster, who's a name I think for, when we talk about legends of the Cats, we don't necessarily think of Bill McMaster all that often. His name doesn't necessarily come up. He's not in that Polly Farm. He's not in that Ablett tier. He's not, in terms of his on-field achievements, he's not of that sort of level. but his achievements are significant. And then I mentioned Ablett's a moment ago. He's a huge part of Gary Ablett Sr.'s journey. And so we'll talk a little bit about Sirel as well here. We spoke about premiership players before. We spoke about, obviously, Mickey Turner's dad playing in the 51-52 grand finals. McMaster, dual premiership winner, 1951 and 52, playing a total of 61 games, kicking 75 goals from 1951 to 1954. He later returned to Geelong as coach in 1971 for 2 seasons before becoming football's first ever full-time recruiting officer in 1973, a role he'd held until his retirement in 1994. McMaster began his footballing journey at St. Joseph's in Geelong, where he's a prominent member of the senior side. From 47 to 50, he played his football at Lake Bolac, back-to-back premierships 48 through 50, and the club best and fairest in 1949. 193 centimetres or 6'3.5" on the old scale. McMaster's performances at both clubs caught the attention of Geelong, which he joined in 1951. Pretty decent time to rock up, given the premierships that occurred those years. Might be Sirel. Might be that special sauce that he had. Wearing number 7, McMaster made an impressive debut for the Cats, kicking 5 goals against South Melbourne. And we've got great photos here. And we mentioned, so obviously, like, he was playing in the ruck. Keep in mind, things very different in that sort of period there. Ruckman, 193 centimetres, far cry from what we're looking at these days in terms of the heights of ruckman. McMaster was a pioneer for the league. The first full-time recruitment role, oversaw the recruitment of Gary Ablett Sr. And this is where I want to toss over to an article in a moment. I will just quickly kind of wrap up the official part on the Geelong website by acknowledging some other honours. So Geelong Life Membership, Jack Titus Surfs Award, RJ Hickey Awards. He was awarded Australian Sports Medal in 2000, but in 2024, so in the last 12 months, received the Medal of the Order of Australia in the general division for service to Australian rules football in the Barwon Southwest region. And again, just like Mick, we here in the Hoops crew, just like the club, extend heartfelt condolences to Bill's friends, family, loved ones, and anyone else who's been touched by Bill over the years. This is now where I want to toss over to an article here. Hopefully this all works properly. Let's remove that. Let's toss this up. It mentioned Gary Ablett Sr. Gary Ablett Sr. is obviously a phenomenon. This article here that was published by the Geelong Addy, and sorry, Geelong Addy, someone posted on Twitter and I downloaded the images so that I could kind of project them for this today. There's this wonderful piece here that I'm not necessarily going to go through in great detail, published January 11th, 2025, that talks about the importance of Bill and what he did to bring Gary Ablett to Geelong. And of course, Gary Ablett Sr. is arguably the best player ever, and in the eyes of many, inarguably the best player that the Geelong Football Club has ever seen. Maybe in contest with his son. And without one, we wouldn't have had the other. So Bill's legacy, what Bill did, it continued on well beyond just the bring Gary Senior through the door. But such an important role here. And if people are able to get their hands on this article, if you want to zoom in, blow it all up, and take a moment to read it, it's a really well worded piece by Dan Batten here, all about what Bill McMaster had done in bringing Gary Ablett Senior to the Cats. And I want to acknowledge it. It's an incredible accomplishment, incredible feat, and thank you, Bill, for all that you've done for this Geelong Football Club. Without you, we wouldn't have Gary Ablett Senior potentially. We wouldn't have Gary Ablett Junior potentially. We wouldn't have some of the premierships and Brownlow medals and all, and Norms. We didn't win Norms. Coleman's and all sorts that have come from this father-son combination. Thank you so much for what you've done there. It's truly a sad time for the Geelong Football Club, losing two iconic faces, coaches, iconic players, huge parts of the Geelong community. It's awful when these sorts of things happen. And hopefully over the course of season 2025, over the course of the year 2025, we don't have to have these types of conversations overly often. But we also know that death is an unfortunate part of life. And we're going to lose legends over the course of this season. And we'll get to acknowledge some of those, of course, throughout the course of the year. And there'll be plenty of others that I'm sure, for one reason or another, we don't get to talk about on the Hoops Crew platform. And I guess preemptively, we wish all the best to everyone over the course of this year. Hopefully everyone's health is well, and we get more and more time with you, the community that enjoys this show, with the legends of the Geelong Football Club, those who've just contributed and aren't necessarily legends, that, you know, the quiet achievers who've just come in, done their, served the club in the best possible fashion and gone on to live their lives. Every single person who's entered the walls of GMHBA, Skilled Same, Simmons Stadium, Cardinia Park have been so important to building the club into what it is today, which is a phenomenal place. And without them, who knows where we'd be. So thank you very much to Mickey Turner. Thank you very much to Bill McMaster. We appreciate everything that you've done, and we wish your families, your loved ones, your friends, all the best in this very, very trying time. Now, before we wrap things up, I'm very awkwardly throwing to our sponsor here, Sirel Cook Florist.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Sirel Cook Florist, established in Geelong since 1915. Visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. That's cook with an E. Give them a call on 035 222 2244, or mention the Hoops Crew to get yourself 20% off your next in-store purchase when you visit them at Shop 12, 11 Leather Street in Breakwater.
Thank you, Sirel Cook Florist, for all that you do in your service of the Hoops Crew, and we look forward to working with you continually over the course of season 2025. And of course, if you're watching, make sure, as the chaps are talking about in the ad there, sign up, and there's discounts coming your way. There's loved ones in your life that I'm sure would appreciate a nice bouquet of flowers. Think about it. All right, that's where we'll wrap things up for this video. A whole lot more to come over the course of season 2025. I'm not going to spruik too much here. It's not the right place. It's not the right time. You're on the Hoops Crew YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and check out the Patreon. Beyond that, you can find me at Paul James Games on socials. You can find the Hoops Crew at the Hoops Crew on socials as well. Check us out on all those platforms, and we look forward to chatting to you again nice and soon. Remain Geelong strong, everyone. Vale, Bill, and Mick. We'll see you later.